Okay.
Oh,
You're-
I swear it was my favorite class. Reinventing organization, seriously.
I think I take that one later, but
No, that's a really good one. The book is
That'll-
awesome.
I hope it's better than the first one. Sorry,
All right.
Eric.
Here we
I dressed
go.
you guys tonight. So.
Are we in gallery view?
Yes.
All right. Introductions. This is Team 4 final discussion meeting. I'm Ari. I'm the facilitator. James.
I'm James, and I'm a challenger.
Daniela.
I'm the submitter.
Haven.
I'm the host.
And Joey.
The jokester.
Okay, everyone is here. Let's hear your joke, Joey.
I have two. Why can't you hear a psychiatrist using the bathroom?
Because they're so full of shit.
No, that's that other professor. Because the P is silent.
Oh my god.
Okay.
And what do ghosts eat for supper? Spaghetti.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Holiday joke.
I had to throw one in there.
All right. Team members preparedness. Did everybody read the case study, all the links, everything we needed to read?
Yes.
Mhm.
Everybody got to everything? I as well did that. Does anybody have any changes to the agenda?
Other than that announcement where she wanted us to talk about that one assignment.
What was that? I missed that.
Other than that one announcement where she wanted us to discuss the feedback assignment of the other groups. Did you see that one?
I didn't. Today
Okay.
was the Jewish holiday of Yom Kippur, everyone. Happy New
Wow.
Year. So I was out of service all day.
Aw.
It's fine. I don't celebrate. I was just with my family. Didn't fast. God forgive me.
You're forgiven.
All right. Do we need to discuss that now or at the end?
I think we can just sneak it in at the end. It's just, she says, I would like your feedback on the teams assessing each other and whether that is a good or not so good assignment. So I think she's talking about the one where we reviewed the other teams, not individually. So we can save that for later though.
Okay. Okay, discussion of the readings. Below, let's start with the case study. Discuss the case study from the assigned readings and follow the embedded instructions, except for the one about the 20 ideas. So, the case study, as a group brainstorm about different strategies for coping with Bert. List as many possibilities as you can. We should be able to come up with 20. So, the ideas that I'll start, it's from this class creating a team charter that might have been helpful for them. I put that. Informing the professor, and I also put intervention, kind of have an intervention for the kid. But the main one would be to have a charter and, hold them accountable. Joey?
I also mentioned holding him accountable via a team charter. I said, though not a fan of this, but it might be necessary in this instance to micromanage him. I'm definitely not a fan of that, but in some cases you just got to push someone along, especially in a short term like this. Discuss concerns with the instructor for intervention, discuss concerns with Bert and teammates as a team, and then have a private conversation to discuss concerns in a more discreet setting. So some very similar responses to you, Ari.
Cool.
Daniela?
Mine were pretty similar too. I did mention, I think both ends of the spectrum, like being on top of it and just sending out the reminders and finding different ways to communicate to find the most effective one, so that maybe you can cover yourself and say that it was communicated, and if there's like an evaluation or something. And then I did the other opposite end, which is, I guess, more passive. I just wrote, at the end, you want your good grade. So in some cases, you just kind of have to let it be and figure out how to make the project happen with the people who are willing to help you work with it. And if there is some kind of evaluation or discussion with the professor at the end, bringing it up then. But I just talked about how in some situations there's just really nothing you can do, because you're not gonna hurt your own grade trying to make somebody else do the work. But yeah, James?
I try to get Bert engaged with a team building exercise, try to get him wanting to be involved. Also, build the charter and make sure that he's assigned specific parts of that assignment. So he is accountable for that. And then try to find out what Bert's strengths are and skills and abilities that he can bring to the table. Try to get him on like a face-to-face meeting where you can interact with him and really kind of see where he's coming from. And then, if he is involved, try to congratulate the top performers, because I know that later on we learned that that's a helpful thing, and it encourages people to compete in a healthy way. So yeah, getting his engagement would be big, and getting him to trust the team. Haven?
I basically said what you all said. I said talk to the professor, figure out what they can do from that end, and then also talk to Bert or try to meet up with him if they can even do that. But that was pretty much what I suggested.
Cool. A lot of us are on the same page. So come to a consensus about top strategy. It seems like team charter is probably up there. James, I like what you said about finding his strengths. I would put that in there. And then talking to the professor, right?
Yeah, I think that those three are key.
Anyone else want to add anything as a consensus?
There's really only so much you can do if you don't have someone that's willing to participate. Obviously you can push, but at some point you kind of have to give in. Either
Especially
run
if
with
it's like
it
a short-term project.
It would be really difficult in this class to try to really wrestle someone along the whole time.
Yeah. Luckily, we were good.
Yeah. Except for
dropped-
Daniela.
Oh, sorry.
Just kidding. Totally kidding.
You
Don't
missed
apologize.
You missed as many meetings as Daniela, Joey. Come on.
I wasn't even talking about that. I was just being a smart ass.
Yeah, I never. So I dropped out of school, so I never had to do this in the real, like, back in the day. I don't know what I would do if I encountered somebody that was just not going to participate. Like,
Go to that house party with Eric.
Right? Maybe that's how you get them. You go get drunk with them or something.
also, is somebody named Bert really going to be that much of a slacker? I feel like.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a good point.
So let's take the position of Dr. Spock. How should she react to this problem after it's explained to her by the three active students? Daniela, let's start with you.
Wait, hold on. Wait, can somebody else go? Hold on.
Sure. James.
I think I missed this part. Let's see.
Where was that part?
Yeah, because I don't have that as a question in my notes.
On here?
It's
I think it was the third one on the case study.
it's on the case study itself.
It's the video, right?
No, the PDF, the case study PDF. It's
The question was basically, if you're the professor, what's your point of view on everything? Because the professor's point, I think it's a she. She wants to grade everyone on like kind of team involvement. So this issue, she wants the team to kind of handle it, I guess.
Right.
I think I did it in my notes assignment. I said get a face-to-face with him, and then use some trust activities to solidify the group. And then after the group does that, they can get specific parts of the assignment given to him. And then if he still doesn't complete that and keep up, then Spock can help find a new teammate. I think that's last resort. Joey?
I'm just going to read this. It might be a little easier. The issue of Bert isn't necessarily something the team should have to handle on their own, in my opinion. This is a clear lack of respect for teammates and lack of self-accountability that should truly be addressed at the instructor level. I'd make the recommendation to lower Bert's grade or even have him removed from the class or on a remedial plan because of his behavior, lack of performance or participation. There's only so much team members can do to motivate the teammates. So I feel like you kind of have to, I don't know. I mean, as a professor, I feel like you should have to realize when you really have a weak link that's not willing to do anything in the workplace, that wouldn't fly. So it shouldn't fly in a classroom setting either. Gary?
Yeah, I was a lot harsher than James. I mean, you're trying all these things. I said in the real world, Bert would be fired.
Yeah.
Should just fail him. Like he's obviously not participating, so get out. Haven.
I said basically that if the team has tried to meet up with him and he won't, and then they went to the professor, and maybe the professor sends him one email, and if he doesn't reply to the professor, then at that point, don't hurt the team over him if he's not going to show any effort. Who hasn't gone? Daniela?
Yeah, I found it. So I think I took a different approach. I just wrote that a lot of professors, and I guess this is speaking in like the academic world, but a lot of professors just assume that we all have the same background when it comes to teamwork. So they expect us to all be able to work that way, I guess. But maybe on a longer project, or if there is more time, a professor could maybe do like a quick run through of her expectations of teamwork, so that everyone's kind of on the same page of what is expected of them from a professor standpoint, rather than the team trying to work it out themselves. But yeah, that's what I wrote.
Cool.
Gary, I have a rebuttal since I'm the challenger.
James.
In the real world, I've noticed, at least being a manager, that it's really hard to fire people sometimes. And you really have to have like a really strong, legit reason to get somebody fired. So I think you probably have to, like, as the manager, you'd have to like figure out and document exactly what's going on and get like solid, team feedback as well as like performance feedback, or in order to fire somebody, because there's a lot of issues with legalities, and if you do it wrong, you can have somebody suing you for false.
Sure.
So that's just.
Unless he's pregnant, and then it's easy to fire him, right?
Yeah.
I would say it's probably it's about timely. It's a timely joke, guys.
Or potentially gay.
I would say it's probably harder for him to get hired in that aspect. It's hard to fire him. It's easy to not hire him. It's harder to fire him, yes, but I don't think this guy would be getting hired in the real world. So,
at my company, probably, yeah. Hire a bunch of bozos.
All right. Moving on to the readings and the videos. Discuss the other readings and videos demonstrating that you have read and understood the materials. So, rewarding teamwork. I think it's just like your reaction and takeaways from that reading.
Yeah.
Is that a reading or that was a video?
That one was a video. Or no, that was a reading. It was like it looked like an article, like a news article kind of. There were a lot of colorful images.
All right, pecking order and body language were the videos.
Yeah.
All right, so Joey, what were your takeaways from rewarding teamwork?
I actually put a quote. Recognizing individual employees for a job well done boosts both performance of their coworkers and the team as a whole. So with that, I do believe that to be true. When team members see each other receiving rewards or praise, it kind of makes them, well, it does make them want that same attention and credit if they're at all interested in being a better employee, or I mean, everyone secretly likes attention, I think. And then I've had people come to me and ask how I got a reward, and I noticed that after they found out what I did to get it, you could see them changing or beginning to foster the same behavior to try to reach that same level. Haven?
I like the article because I feel like a lot of companies kind of don't reward anyone as much as they should. I mean, it's as simple as my boss bought us pizza the other day for lunch because we like hit a certain mark of like sales or something, and then that alone boosts morale. And then it just, I mean, obviously we want to keep doing good if he's going to keep buying us food. So I liked the article just because it kind of related really well back to my situation. James?
So these two articles, or this article and then the next video, were kind of juxtaposed in a way. I thought it was kind of interesting that you chose those two. But everything you guys said about healthy competition, public recognition was a big factor, getting everybody to see them and congratulate them publicly drives up that performance. And I think it's a great way to, have a healthy competition. And it just really reminded me of Pavlov's dogs, or the growth mindset, or pretty much anything that professes trying to get people, giving positive reinforcement to people to get them to work harder. That goes hand in hand with this. But it's also interesting that the next video is kind of different than this, in that she talks about how how having the group sort of reinforce each other is the way to go. But I think overall there needs to be a top performer as well. So yeah. Daniela?
So the article, I was able to relate it to my current job a lot. I think morale is like super boosted in the workplace, at least right now, because during the summer, it gets really busy here, and they do like team competitions. You can team up with your people of your choice or your assigned teams. You do individual competitions, and I think it hasn't really turned ugly here, so it's still fun. I think we all enjoy being recognized, and we all kind of work off of that to better ourselves. They're not really financial rewards. They're more like how you said, Haven, like food, or like, an hour off the phones or things like that, movie tickets. But I think that it pushes us to work harder, and I think it keeps the environment competitive. But like I said, at my job so far, it hasn't become ugly. I think it has the potential to, but it keeps it competitive in a positive way, because we're all just trying to be the one that gets recognized, whether that's individually or as a team. So I really liked the article. I was able to relate it a lot to my current job. Ari, have you gone?
No, I'll go. I'll finish it up. I had a lot of similar things, especially what Joey said. When employees are rewarded for their own efforts, other members of the team work hard to emulate those top performers. They talk about recognition spillover effects and all of the positive benefits of recognizing individual team members are likely to disappear if the awards are based on arbitrary non-work factors or the rewarding of team. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Like, if the rewards are not genuine, then everyone's going to call it out and kind of recognize that. So having that kind of good reward system, we have that at my company. they give you points, and then you can trade those points in for gift cards or iTunes or whatever. I mean, it's always nice to get gift cards. So, yeah, I mean, who doesn't like to be rewarded at work? That's what I would say. James.
I'm going to say I thought it was interesting last meeting, or after the interview meeting, she had us like basically congratulate or say something that somebody did. And I think everybody overwhelmingly was proud of Joey. And I remember feeling like, shit, I want to be that top performer, you know? Like, it kind of gave me that like incentive, you know? I was like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, that's what it should take, you know? And I realized like, man, I could have done this or could have done that. And yeah, I think she tried to sneak that into that last agenda. So
Yeah.
it's cool.
You don't have to suck up now, James.
So, hey, I want these last few points. I like this class.
All right, so the next one was pecking order at work. This was the TED Talk. Haven, you want to go first?
I watched the video. I did like it. There's actually a situation at my work right now. There's like an older lady who is a lower level than what me and my coworkers are. I mean, my coworkers are in our 20s, and she's causing some issues, and our manager's trying to fix it, but he's so passive, he doesn't really do anything. And I watched the video before this happened, and I don't know, it's just funny. Pecking orders just, I don't know, they're very, to me, sometimes they can get scary, but in the right hands, it can flow good. But it was just, it kind of matched up perfect timing, so I guess that was sheer luck. But it was a good video, but pecking orders, it's another story. Joey?
I felt like it was I'm sorry, I was reading my notes. I have that there was an interesting point made about how we don't know the people we work next to. This is actually something that I'm struggling with. I've been at my job since June 3rd, and I only know the people that sit in my row. I sit in a cube farm, and I only know one of those guys really well because we attended an outside training together. Other than that, I don't speak to anyone. I don't socialize. We've had 2 company events since I started. And in that type of setting, I really struggle to interact. Plus, it's very cliquey. It's almost like high school because so many of those people have worked together for 10 to 15 years. So they're all best friends. They hang out outside of work. But back to the topic, it's I think it's important for managers to know that about their team, or to be overly welcoming to the new people, because people do become so focused or so task driven or so caught up in their existing relationships that they don't realize who's around them. And fostering that positive interaction and positive behavior is important to get people to get to know each other, because it helps to build trust and helps to build a team mentality overall. Daniela?
I think the one that stood out the most was, it was also like in reference to rewards, kind of, about how we have a certain environment where it's like data entry and it's considered boring to us, and then we have like more creative outlets in the workplace, and that those are kind of a reward in its own, that we have the opportunity to kind of be creative in the workplace, and that sometimes the people who are good at the quote boring stuff are the ones who move up quicker and things like that, because the people who will excel in creativity don't make it along as fast. So I thought that was interesting. I feel like that that can happen if your job doesn't require a lot of creativity, because that's what you're excelling at, not necessarily the data entry. And the people who are quick and things like that are the ones who are going to get recognized for it. So I liked that. James, have you gone?
No. So I found this article or this video to be pretty cool. I even posted it on. We have like a lead forum for my company, and basically a lot of the biggest three factors were social empathy, equal time with each other, and having women in the group. And I was just thinking about how interesting that last one was, because obviously social empathy is important. She talks about social capital, building trust between members, and having that time together was super important. But then the third factor of having more women in the group was also important, because I know just personally, I don't know if this goes for the other guys in the group, but when there's women in the group, I feel like not showing off, but performing more, trying to perform more. I don't know. I find myself in a position where I work harder, or I try to. It's this alpha sort of thing where you try even harder and you work even harder when there's women in the group. And I think maybe a part of that is just me. I don't know, but I think having more women in the group is great, because I think her point is that it's all about team dynamics, and I know that overall women are better social creatures just naturally. This is like a broad generalization, but it's just biologically built in, and it's that they're more social creatures. So yeah, I found that interesting, and then just how collaborators are really the key to a good team, and not necessarily that one person that performs. So even though it's important to give your top performers rewards, it's not going to really help a team outperform another team if one person does everything and gets all the reward for it. So but yeah, does anybody else have anything on that one?
Yes. So I also highlighted that the three things: the social sensitivity, equal time, and the women. I also thought it was interesting that what people need is social support and who to ask for help, and what motivates people are the bonds and the trust and loyalty towards each other. But the most important component of that was that social capital compounds with time. So like Joey, I started my job last May, so I've been in it over a year, but I'm in a cube in a corner, and Prudential is big. There's probably like 2,000 people in this campus, and I'm coming from a place where there was like probably 500 people, and I was there for 5 years, so I was doing videos for everybody. Everybody knew me. I was very popular within the circle of this company. And coming over here, nobody knows me, nobody cares. It's bigger. It just takes time, I guess. The more you work with people, it just depends on the job too. Like if your job is in your cube and you're not working with people, there's no reason to branch out and build that support. So I thought it was interesting how she talked about how in one of the European countries, they have the time that you have to go get coffee, like with your coworkers. But yeah, that's what I got. Anybody else want to add on that?
It's kind of funny because the lady seemed to be of the generation that my boss is from, and he's very, we don't participate in group activities. We don't go out to lunch together. You don't go have a drink after work together. He actually frowns upon the groups that do those types of things. And I think that's why my team is so dislocated from the rest of the company, which is unfortunate because I work in quality. So we have an impact in every business function except finance. So we're really missing out on an opportunity to grow our own team, but then to be a part of something bigger because of his mindset. So it's encouraging to see that it's not I guess I often relate things to age, because it seems that a lot of things come down to that, but I guess it's unfair to think like that all of the time, because the lady in the video seemed to be an older lady, not old, but I think my boss is approaching 70. So it was interesting to force me to think outside of that ageism, I guess, as well. But to see two different perspectives from people in the same age bracket, if that makes any
Sure.
sense.
I've got. So what about the good old boys mentality, or when these little cliques kind of start to form, and you have people that go golfing with their boss, and then you have these other people that don't even enjoy it. So what do you think they should do to fix that at companies? Maybe like a mandatory, everybody, all hands, let's all go rafting. Even my 80-year-old Luis from accounting. Or
So we've done that, and I hate those activities. I hate forced fun. Like, we just went go-karting into an arcade. They flew every employee in from around the world, put them up for the week, and then one day we all went go-karting and everything. And it was the most miserable experience of my life because I didn't know anyone, and they all still went to their corners with their people. And it was an open bar, which is a horrible decision in my mind for work, but I don't know. I think there's ways to do it, but forcing it, I don't think is the right direction to go either. We're getting ready to do something for fall where we've built these. I work with a bunch of engineers, so they've built these catapults to catapult pumpkins across the field and knock over bowling pins, and they want us all to be on some type of team. And I'm like, can I just go home early that day? Like, I'd be, I hate to not be social, but that doesn't build, I don't know. It's not something I personally enjoy.
Yeah, it's hard when there's an activity. I think I
Yeah.
remember going to like camps when I was younger, and I feel like anybody could jump into those. And if it's like a mental task, or even like that marshmallow one that they were doing,
Yeah.
forced to work together, but not necessarily like, hey, we're all going to play basketball, or it's cool when there's like, I don't know. I know that Haven's probably been in like a lot of camps, probably where it's like you get like a group, and everybody's got to work with their own skills and abilities, and it's not like, hey, Garrett's good at bow hunting and everybody else sucks. Too bad for them.
There's got to be balance, that's for sure.
Anybody?
Next question.
You gotta want to do it. I mean, you gotta want to put yourself out there. If not, then I'm with Joey. I'm going home early. Screw that. All right.
Want to do it?
Let's go to nonverbal language. The body language. So there were two parts. There was the TED Talk, and then there was watching our last meeting and evaluating yourself in the most creepy way possible. Just watching yourself for 20 minutes. So for this one, I mean, he kind of touted that he was going to change the world from this, and I didn't really get that much out of it. I kind of just was, how he talked about everything you think you know is wrong, and body language is not just 7% words. I thought that was an interesting example where he kind of pantomimed how he was going to kill somebody or something. And then I wrote down, listen with your ears, eyes, gut, and heart, and trusting body language and not just the words. I don't know. It wasn't the most effective video for me, but I'd like to see what you guys think. Daniela?
I thought it was cool. I liked the part it's kind of like towards the beginning about the smiling. So when I went back and watched like our previous video, I was like, wow, like we all really do have different smiles. Like you have like because I mean, in this setting. I think Joey said it last time, like all we see are our faces. So the only body language we can read is our facial expressions or maybe our hands. But, you know, the smile that shows that you're paying attention, the smile that shows that you're agreeing or that you're processing or you like what they're saying. Just different smiles. I thought it was cool. I was like, I smile a lot in these videos, so I'm not going to smile today. But I thought it was cool. I didn't really like, I don't know, the examples he was giving, they were a little too, like, I don't read into body language as far as he was, I guess. But I mean, the smile part was cool. So, Haven?
To be completely honest, this video, I watched it, but it was not captivating. I just didn't really like it that much. I did understand what he was saying on some things though, but watching the recording, I don't know, it's hard to judge with facial expressions. I have a bad habit of overthinking everything, so someone could be sitting there listening and I'll think that they hate everything I say. But looking at myself, the one thing I know I do is I yawn a lot, but it's late here and I'm exhausted by the time these meetings come around. And I try so hard to not yawn, but it gets me every single time. But that would be the only thing because, like I said, I read bad into facial expressions just because I overthink everything. But for myself, the yawning, that's I promise I'm not bored. I'm just exhausted. James.
I, unlike everybody else, love this video. This is my favorite video of the year. I have a very different sense of humor. I posted actually a clip from it on my Instagram. I just want to play it because it was my favorite part. Just real quick. It was about the greatest liars of all time here. Hopefully you guys can hear it.
Who's the most famous liar of all time?
Oh, the ex-wife.
Not OJ. Not Nixon. It's not Hillary. I was shocked to the core when I found out that it wasn't my ex-wife.
Who was it?
It wasn't his ex-wife.
This part. It's not.
Like you went back 3 times.
I loved it. I absolutely loved that part. I was dying. I replayed it like 10 times. I don't know. To me, it's hilarious. It's like absurdist kind of humor, and it's surprising to find that in TED Talk. But anyways, I like the part about Pinocchio turned out to be the biggest liar out of that scenario, and it was because Pinocchio didn't know he was a liar until everybody in the town told him he was, based on his metaphor of his nose for body language. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the deepest talk in the world. I thought it was funny. I liked the part about the little girl's eyes. You could tell the twin sisters, the one that was, had her eyes squinted while she was smiling. You could tell that was a real smile. On a personal note, I'm terrible with body language. I feel like I have no soul. I really give people the wrong impression. I don't know. I think it's probably from psychedelics that the reason why I'm like that. Because I don't know. I misinterpret things. I've never been a person that gives a fake like smile or a fake expression. There's a really great book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Shit, or Not Giving a F. And basically in the book they highlight like how Russian culture is super different, and like Slavic culture and stuff, and how there's no BS in their facial expressions, and they don't have a forced hallway expression. They don't have a forced smile. If you're happy, you're happy. If you're not, you're not. And just sort of how I thought about it too. And I think about this almost every time I go on social media. Like when we smile for a picture, it's like we're forced to smile for a picture. It's not a real moment. It's not, it's like this artificial moment that we're sort of showing to the world. Like, look at us, we're happy. This is what happy is. And, I feel like if society decided something else, then everybody else would change their own opinion on how they would act. And I don't know. I'm super genuine. Some people like it. Some people hate it. Every girlfriend I've ever had has been like, how are you feeling? What's wrong? Tell me how you're feeling. I'm like, I'm always feeling fine. I get angry when my girlfriend would ask me that. It's like, I'm fine. I don't really care about my feelings. If I'm not bleeding out, I'm fine. It's like my expressions probably tell them, hey, I'm not having a good time, but it's genuine when I do it, and it tells a lot about a person when they're always happy. It's like this Pollyanna attitude of, I have to be happy because I'm worried about what everybody thinks of me. And I want people to think I'm a happy person. I want people to like me. Maybe that's my problem. I don't really give a shit. And I think it's reflected in groups and stuff, but there's a really great meme online where it's like, I don't know, it's like how white people smile at each other. And it's like this grin in the hallway and at work. And it's like when you see someone you don't want to talk to, it's like this force, like, hey, and we all do it too, where it's like you see somebody but you don't want to talk to. And it's just like, hey, it's like, I hate that. So, maybe I need to be more like Daniela, but, it's not a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a great thing to always be happy. Then everybody loves you. But I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum where everyone's just like, what an asshole. But I don't mind it. It's cool. But yeah, anyway, that's my rant. I love that video. Who else has to go?
Me.
Joey?
I was watching, I went through a couple of videos and kind of it reminded me of all of the different traits that I've picked up of your guys all along. Though we are mostly just heads, it's easy to see when someone was nervous or anxious or tired or disinterested or completely off task just by watching. And I made the comment last week that we are just heads, but a lot of us are very animated just with our bobbleheads. So I made a list of each one actually because it's kind of funny. So I'm gonna watch your reactions when I read them too.
Oh my God.
They're not bad. So I gather that when Haven is nervous, she looks away and flips her hair. Daniela twirls her hair almost every time she speaks, and she giggles a lot when she's nervous. Ari doesn't move, and at times seems to be focused on other things. And based on the reflection in the back of his headboard, it looks like there's a TV or something. And then James is normally picking his teeth or looking at something else on the screen, it seems. And then I got myself too, of course. I rock back and forth when I'm talking and nervous. And I consider myself to be a very animated facial expression person. I also play with my beard a lot. So yeah, it's fun to look back and see those things, especially once you get to know people a little bit. But, nothing too deep there. So, just funny little.
It's funny though because it's true.
Yeah.
I've read studies about hair twirling, and if you actually pull your hair to the side, it makes you subconsciously more vulnerable, and it's a sign of attraction.
Oh.
I don't know. I've looked into the study because I had a buddy that talked about it. He's like, oh, if a girl flips her hair, it makes sense because it's like you're making yourself vulnerable in a sense,
Yeah.
like allowing sort of, you know, in a way, but that it's different than twirling your hair, I guess. It's more of like making yourself more open and vulnerable with your body versus
Yeah.
body language that you're like crossing your arms or you're kind of looking away. I think there was a section in the video where he's like, your feet tell you where your instincts are or whatever. And I think that's part of it too. If you're, you know, you're really opened up to somebody, you can really, mirroring's a big one too. If you're mirroring somebody's body language, especially on a date, I'll think about that before a date subconsciously, and it'll really really connect you to somebody, and they'll always get like a better feedback of you for sure. It's weird how we mirror each other though, especially if it's somebody you like, you'll end up mirroring them, you know. So
I also noticed I touch my chin a lot.
Yeah, you do.
I
Yeah.
don't know what that's about, but here it is. So,
uh,
all right, we ready to move on?
Definitely.
All right, so we've got some questions to respond to. What would you say are the 2 most important lessons about teams that you'll take away from this course? So I'll start. I wrote the psychological contract and the interview that we did. I thought the psychological contract was a great idea for the beginning of this course, kind of just laying down your expectations of yourself and what you're good at and what you want to improve on. And I don't know, I just got a lot out of the interview. I mean, it was great to just hear another voice in the world kind of share their experience about leadership and management. And, you know, it was a good one for me. So those were the 2 that I picked. Joey.
I think I took this from a different point of view. I think that the 2 things that I'm going to walk away with the most, or the biggest lessons for me, were organization and how organization isn't just important for myself, but it can have a big impact on the performance and outcome of others. And then also the emotional reactions. I've really been trying to work on that, even just in the last few days, to be more aware of my responses. Sorry, the dog's grumbling. So yeah, those would be my 2, organization and then just reactions in general. Daniela?
So I wrote about the psychological contract too. I wrote about the weakness part because I really liked how I dissected that at first, and now I kind of know of different ways to improve on that. So I liked that, and then I liked, I liked learning that I can find comfort in teams. I guess that's more personal than an actual lesson that she taught us, but I just really liked that over time I was able to open up more. So I liked learning that about myself. Haven?
I said that this course gave a new meaning to being flexible. I kind of learned that even when it's kind of tight sometimes, that it kind of pays off in the end. And then that no matter how hard something is, that everyone is ultimately in it for the same outcome. So always keep that in mind, even when sometimes it gets frustrating. I know that this class for me was really frustrating at times, mainly just because of how busy my normal schedule is, and then just having, to meet late at night and then go to work early the next morning. But yeah, those are my 2. James, I think.
Yeah, I think trust and accountability. I answered this question pretty robotically, but I felt like the trust building exercise that we did was awesome. I know that the interview was good, and having that accountability from was an awesome thing that we did. And I think without trust and accountability, we wouldn't be as productive as we are. Because I think early on, obviously, we didn't have that trust. So people were maybe a little uneasy about asking stupid questions, or I don't know, you guys know about me. I'm a professional at asking dumb questions or repeated questions. But yeah, I feel like just as a team builds, kind of back to the compounding, how the social capital compounds. I feel like that was really important for understanding this team, and also just in my life too. At my company, we don't really have these team building exercises, and we have a high turnover rate, so it's real difficult to really get to know people and really want to give your all to training people when people are going to leave. So even in this short period of time, I think that we had enough in the agendas to build each other up and allow for that free flow of ideas a little bit more. So, and she lets us cuss too, so that's cool. Harry?
I went. I think Haven
already went.
Haven. That's everybody? All right, good job. All right, so let's respond to the following questions. What did you think of the textbook readings or concepts covered that were not addressed in the other readings or videos? Would you recommend I continue to use this or not? I would give the readings like a B. I thought some of the case studies were useful, but some of the lessons were more effective with the videos and the PDFs. I did make a note that why teams fail. That section was effective, but overall, I got more use out of the TED Talks than anything else. So, Haven.
I enjoyed the videos. Because what I would do is I would just play them as I was doing other stuff, and it was nice just to listen. But I guess it's more of a personal thing. The readings weren't bad. Some of them were a little either long or just not very interesting to read. And she mentioned a textbook. To be honest with you, I couldn't tell you what our textbook was called. So if we had one, I don't recommend using it because I feel like we did a lot more articles and videos than any textbook. Joey?
I'm never a fan of a textbook, especially in this type of setting. I feel like they're outdated before they're even published. So obviously TED Talks can be old and articles can be old, but this class is such a literal course, I guess you would say, experience-based, natural wisdom and knowledge and just what we've all been through, that I don't know that it's 100% necessary to have a lot of material, because if you watch a video, you're going to have a reaction, so there's something to discuss at that point. Obviously readings work the same way, but I'm never a fan of a textbook in a traditional sense. So, Harry?
I started.
Sorry, James?
I think the textbook was decent. I think a lot of it reaffirmed what we were reading in the articles and in the videos. It kind of just gave a more strict basis for it, more robotic formulation. The case studies were pretty good. I thought the book really pertained more to leadership, but you could always sort of use that for our purposes as a group, even though we were more of a self-managed group. I think what I could take away from it is you could really use that leadership stuff to everyone kind of be a leader on their own in their own sense. I think it gave a decent perspective on that. But it is just different having a self-managed team. And personally, I learn a lot better just from specific articles or videos and stuff like that. So, Daniela, did you go?
No. So I just wrote, I don't know if it's the stigma of a textbook, but it's like hard for me to process all of that information. And I don't think the one that we had in this class was that bad. But I just prefer like the articles. I feel like we had a couple topics that we covered in the class, but the textbook wasn't used in every single module. So I feel like there's a reason for that. It was more specific towards one topic as opposed to everything that we kind of explored in the class. So I think it could be done without, because she does provide a lot of other material that we could use for each lesson, but I don't think the textbook is the worst. So yeah, that's all I have.
Everybody go? All right. So let's talk about the assignment that you found most useful and explain why. James, you want to start?
Yeah. So I think Team Charter, I was a big fan of that one because it gave everybody an early baseline to understand, you're accountable for, how to build trust, how our communication was going to work, certain caveats to, the order of operations, participation. It was almost like building our own kind of syllabus. And I felt like it was good to decide on that stuff as a group and know how we're going to address conflict and different roles, productivity. And yeah, I thought that was awesome. But I think my favorite probably was the interview. I thought I really learned a lot from that. It was a great. It was great to learn from somebody that was experienced in the field and that had had gone through everything and it's super successful, obviously. So it's always good to hear from somebody that's successful and how they did it. So I was a big fan of that. Haven?
I liked the team charter. I felt it was different than anything I'd ever done before in any class or any team or group. It was beneficial. I mean, I don't think we needed to use it that much once we built it and kind of knew what it incorporated. But I really, really did enjoy the interview. I felt like it wasn't just the same old where you read off the agenda and everyone answers questions. It was kind of nice it was reassuring to talk to a person and that's out in the real world and experiencing things and hearing how they handled everything. But I also put in there that I liked the self-evaluations. I just wish there was a way they could do kind of evaluate your first meeting yourself and then your end meeting and kind of talk about the growth in between. I just felt like that would be more useful, but I don't really do self-evaluations that much, so I kind of like that one. Daniela?
I wrote about her doing the notes instead of the quizzes. I liked that just because I was thinking back to our syllabus quiz when we were doing that and we were all like freaking out, and then she was like, you guys were overthinking, like I just wanted simple answers. So I feel like the notes gave us, it still made us responsible and it held us accountable for completing the readings and everything, but there wasn't as much pressure on making sure that we got like the perfect grade, because I feel like the notes, it was more, as long as she could see that we really thought about what we were reading and what we were watching, she would give us full points for it. So I really liked that. And then I wrote about that trust assignment. I don't know if it was an assignment or just part of the meeting, but I wrote about that too because I really liked that for our team specifically. So that was it. Ari?
Yeah, I wrote my favorite discussion was around the privilege, the male white American privilege. I was looking forward to that one, and I think we got a lot out of that one as a team and personally. I said that was the most enlightening and productive for the group. That whole meeting actually was a really good one, but specifically around the privilege and what I've been doing wrong as a white male American. So that was enlightening. Joey.
I agree. I think that was one of the most enlightening because it allowed us to speak freely and really get to know each other without any tension or aggression. But then I also really enjoyed, my mind just went blank, I'm sorry. The discussion that Daniela mentioned, where we opened up with each other. I don't think it was a specific assignment, but I guess the thing that I enjoy the most is building rapport and really getting to know my peers. Ari, you're here twice.
I don't trust him.
So all of the assignments where we were kind of just us talking through things were some of the most beneficial for me because I feel like we were very comfortable sharing and just being open and honest with one another.
I'd like the challenge. What happened to Ari?
I think he's having internet trouble.
Oh, it wasn't really a challenge, but I just wanted to tell Dr. Chanley to just maybe have that conversation earlier in the course so that people feel more free and you can build that trust like almost immediately and force people, I guess, to get in on the conversation. What's up, Barry?
I froze again. I'm rebooting.
All right, we were just talking about you. But yeah, that trust building one was awesome. Early on would have been great. I don't know if we would have shared as much if it was as early on, but I think if she would have forced us to share, maybe something embarrassing, or if she got us to really kind of open up early on, that would have really allowed us all to open up more. And I think this is possibly why groups with more females are more successful. Possibly because people feel more free to be creative. Men maybe are more judgmental. All competing to be top dog, top monkey.
I'm going to call that a little stereotypical there, James.
So
Personally,
In our nature, guys.
no, I don't know. I don't think I consider myself a top dog. I wouldn't view Joey as trying to be a top dog either. You know,
Competitive though, right? At least.
I
Maybe.
suck up to the women because they're more fun. I feel like there's less pressure. And
I feel like there's a million competitive women at the job that I work at. You know, my director is a woman. My vice president is a woman. They're like awesome bulldogs. You know, it just depends on who the person is. I wouldn't classify it based on the fact that they're a woman. You know, it's just.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just a general assumption. I think testosterone naturally forces you to be kind of like that, and there's ways to learn to get better at keeping that at bay. But there's a difference in activities with little girls versus little boys. I mean, it's a world of difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not society doing anything. It's it's just there are some girls that go play tackle football with the boys. Yeah, it's not as common, but I am speaking in generalizations, but I think it's necessary sometimes. But I think that there always is a competitive hierarchy that is subliminally always there. Like, we're not even on a team that has to compete, right? That's why it's not like that. But if we were competing, let's say if there was a hierarchy, there was a pecking order, I guarantee you things between us would be 100% different. And it's just like a game show. everybody kind of fits into their roles and gets in some type of pecking order on those, on name a reality TV show. It's just natural, I feel like, and I don't think it has much to do with male, female, but I think that there still is a hierarchy that we get into if we have to compete. See, human nature.
So I think we should start a GoFundMe for Ari and get him a new computer.
I don't think it's my computer, guys. I think it's the Zoom. Zoom doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Because it's not. Why am I in there twice? What the hell did I do? Can you kick me out?
Ari doesn't agree with me. We need to get Ari on steroids like I am.
All right. Did everybody go for this one?
Yeah.
All right. So what was the least useful? That's next, right? What assignment do you find the least useful? Describe specific assignment you found least useful. Explain why. Daniela.
I sent the syllabus quiz. I just said that this isn't really a course that sticks to it 100%, and because of the way that we stressed about it, I feel like maybe it could be done without. I know other professors just do like the multiple choice, like true or false, just to see if you read it. But I think with this course, it doesn't really, it's not as useful only because it's not, we didn't stick to the dates. We all had different due dates because we had different meeting times. She allowed for us to turn in assignments late as long as we were communicating with her. So there was just a lot of workaround. So I feel like maybe it could be a syllabus quiz, but just done in a different way maybe. Joey?
I would agree with that 100%. The feedback we got for that was that we were hypercritical or too in-depth, but none of the answers were in there specifically. So I felt like they were asking for very specific responses, like, what color does it say your second pen has to be? Well, I guess it could have been blue. There was no clear answer except for maybe one or two of the questions. So I didn't see the value in it. And like you said, I most of my classes now, the quizzes are usually one relevant answer and one like every other response is Donald Trump. So, or true and false, or you just acknowledge that you've read it and run the risk that you didn't. I don't see the value. Canvas sets the courses up so well now that everything is kind of guided and set up for you. So the syllabus quiz would be mine as well. Haven?
I agree. I don't think if you hold the class next to the syllabus quiz, they were two completely different things. Based on the syllabus quiz, I was expecting the class to be a lot different than it was.
Yeah.
Which, ended up being a good thing, because if it was going to be that strict, then it probably wouldn't have been as easy flowing and fun. But yeah, I've never liked syllabus quizzes anyways, so. James?
I didn't like the team review. I felt like we could have reviewed, I just wish we reviewed like a different video that was maybe more controversial or that had more content in it, because I think the video that we reviewed was, we did the first 30 minutes, and I think in the beginning of a meeting there's not very much meat there, so it's kind of it didn't feel like we chose the right meeting. I think if we would have had did a review of the diversity meeting, it might be more interesting. We might have more to go off of, but I just think there wasn't enough meat in that video. Ari?
Joey, do you want to say something?
I agree with that one as well. That was my second one. So this kind of touches on the piece that she wanted us to discuss at the end, but I felt like it came too soon in the course. I feel like that's something I would get more value out of now that I have all of these tools and a higher level of understanding. So I don't think that it's not necessarily a good activity. I just don't think it was appropriately timed for our knowledge or skill set. Plus, those people didn't know each other at that point. So it's kind of hard to review someone that really doesn't have any idea of what's going on yet either. So that's just my added thought to that. But Ari?
I found everything useful and had no disagreements with Dr. Chanley's decision to choose everything. So I'm going to pass. No. There were two things. The chapter on goals, and specifically SMART goals, was redundant for me, and I kind of was like, I don't need to read this right now. I've been in the corporate world for 10 years. Like, I don't need to learn about SMART goals. I have SMART goals every year. And then I couldn't find it, but there was an article that was like from the 60s, and it just didn't seem relevant in a virtual teams class.
I know which one you're talking about.
I forget what it was, and I kept looking for it. I don't know if I saved it on in my folder, because maybe I was just so pissed off about it. I just wanted a little bit more relevant content. There were a couple articles that were from before the turn of the century that didn't seem relevant to the syllabus or what we're trying to get out of a virtual team class.
No laughing.
What? You're laughing?
No laughing, guys. You'll get graded down.
That was it, though. I mean, everything else seemed pretty relevant and was pretty good. Danielle, did you go? Did everybody go?
Yep.
All right. If you were taking this course again, knowing what you know now, what could I have done? What could I have told you that would be most helpful at the beginning? I just wrote organizing the assignments and the meetings. I think that was a huge hurdle that we all had to kind of get used to. And even navigating as we were used to it, like even halfway through, we were used to it, and it was still a challenge of figuring out when we were going to do which assignment and having her kind of have to grade the previous meeting prior to the next meeting. It was just a difficult dance for me, and having that a little bit more organized and knowing going in what you needed to do probably would have been more helpful. Joey?
I think a more concise class schedule would be helpful, and syllabus. I think that in general, the thought and mindset around the organization is there. I just think that adding more to modules midweek or prior to when the modules are already really involved. I understand needing to be flexible and such, but I feel like with as many variables as this course has, with the different meeting times, different people being in your meetings, etc., we really need that structure to help keep us on a clear path. I don't know what she could have told us differently, but maybe that we were in for a wild ride of a little bit of chaos at times. Some self-inflicted, some not. But just to be prepared for a lot of ambiguity with a lot of words to go through. I don't know how to say that, really. James?
Yeah, so I kind of agree with Aries a lot. I feel like that would have been a great role. There were some roles that kind of seemed not very useful, but I think that having a role of someone that was, I guess, considered a record keeper with due dates and with roles in meetings, every meeting, and they just would go, roll on to the next meeting. We decide who that person is. And they, write it down in the log. Chanley started doing that I think later on. But I think having that early on, and just making somebody accountable to that, because I wanted to do that, and then it kind of fell off, and then we kind of got back to the same kind of things. So yeah, having someone doing that and forcing that person to be accountable for it would be awesome. And it's good just to have that record anyways of all the assignments and stuff, so you could know when to go back and see what was posted when, just get a good idea. And it would have helped me kind of remember, like, okay, like that was the meeting that this happened, or yeah. Haven?
Overall, I'm an organized person, but this course made me go crazy a little bit. Yeah, that was just a mess on my part. But also, I guess when reading I know she sent that thing prior to the course explaining, like, get out now if you don't like what this says, sort of thing. And I guess I was being overly positive, but I was like, oh, 2 meetings a week, this should be awesome, not hard at all. The meetings are more time consuming than you actually realize. And it's not as easy as it kind of makes you feel like it will be. That was the one thing for other people to kind of warn them, like, it actually is a big responsibility.
Are you having a stroke, James?
What?
Are you okay? I don't know if you all saw that, but his eye was like.
You all right? Everyone
inside.
okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, Haven.
Okay. Yeah, I'm done with. I don't know who's next.
Daniela,
I
did
can
you
go.
go? Yeah.
I just wrote, Haven, what you said about the time-consuming aspect of this course, because I feel like a lot of us are online students for a reason. So I know for myself, my work schedule, I have certain days off because those are my homework days, because I don't want to worry about it the rest of the week. I just want to take care of it one day. But with this course, I didn't really have a choice in that. Other classes I finished like a week or two ago, and this one is still kind of lingering because it just takes more time. So I would have liked to know that. I think she kind of did tell us about the whole virtual team thing in the very, very beginning, but I guess I didn't know what that was going to be like. So that's the only thing that I would have said. Just explain that this course is going to be very time consuming and it's kind of not a choice. So that's the only thing that I wrote about. I think we all went, right?
Yeah, I would say I think we got lucky too. We had another person that was going to be in this team, and and she dropped out. But I think that would have just made it even that much longer and more time consuming. I mean, 5 seems like enough. If you were talking to somebody to get ready for this course, what would you tell them? It's on the same line of what you guys have all been saying. Take extra time to prepare in the beginning. Try to align people in the same time zone. I thought that was a struggle for me. It worked out that everybody was cool and everything, but like, it would have been nice to start at 7:00 Eastern instead of 9:00 Eastern. But I think it might be useful for her to, when she's assigning groups in the beginning and you're picking a group, maybe say Eastern time zone groups and Pacific time zone groups, so that you can pick people that are in the Eastern time zone to do the same kind of thing with you. It just would have been a little bit more efficient with our time.
I agree with that.
Yeah, go.
That would be my one thing, is not necessarily the time zone, but the time you selected, because I selected our first meeting based off of my availability that weekend. And then I couldn't really switch at that point. So I felt stuck, and I know one of her feedbacks was, well, maybe you should have picked a different team. Well, it was the only one that worked for me at that time. So I couldn't drop what I was doing that weekend prior to the course even starting, I believe, to accommodate. I mean, I was all in once the course dates began, but it was frustrating to be stuck once you selected one based off of one convenience. James?
I think just to challenge that a little bit, I think because she was so flexible, we didn't really know that in the beginning, but I think she probably would have let you have that first meeting maybe. But yeah, she turned out to be really flexible with everything throughout the course. But yeah, I think that kind of sucks, because it was that first meeting and then you're kind of trapped. But she was cool. I think she probably would have accommodated for it. She was good. She was cool during the hurricane, and then we missed those assignments. She let us make our own little accountability thing. I think what would I want to tell somebody getting ready to take this course? Just have that person plan and make sure that everyone knows the dates. Use WhatsApp religiously, and that was a big factor for us. And I think it was a good team building thing as well. So yeah, I think that was cool. Daniela?
I just wrote to be flexible and to communicate. I think I was thinking in terms of the WhatsApp too, because I got a lot of clarification on assignments and due dates and stuff because of that text. And be flexible because, even within our team, like we changed the meeting time a couple times and we all have to be flexible in order to make that work. So I thought that was important advice. Did everyone go?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. We're done.
Okay, bye.
Yay.
Yep. Nice knowing you. Bye, guys.
Okay. So, how did this meeting go? Think back to your first meeting and talk about how you've grown as a team over the session. That first meeting was scary.
Yeah.
My biggest concern was I was going to get a bunch of Berts who were not really caring about doing this. And I'm like, don't mess with my GPA. I want to graduate. I'm trying to get on with my life here. But it seems like everybody was on the same kind of page. Everybody's worried that everyone was going to suck and that it was going to affect your grade.
Yeah.
It was weird. That was my reaction to the first meeting.
I think I thought the opposite of you, Ari. I thought everyone was gonna come in I want to be the boss, and that's what I was scared of. Not slackers, but the overachievers. But like you said, I think we were all on pretty much the same page.
Anybody else?
I was scared that my worst nightmare was going to come true, that I wasn't going to be the boss, and then it came true.
You're the boss, James. You're the boss.
I'm just kidding. Actually, this class made me look into my Enneagram and other people, and it turns out my Enneagram is an 8, which is kind of exactly every characteristic that I have. So it was interesting. We've grown a lot. We have great communication now as a team. It sucks that we can't have further meetings because we've built so much together as a team. We could really go places. We should start a company, build an app, come to Silicon Valley. There's a lot of jobs here. I think we really grew in participation. We openness, conflict resolution. We never really had any conflicts. Everybody was afraid to argue against me. No, I'm kidding. We had some pretty diverse topics. That was a lot of fun. I think we were pretty productive. And I think the biggest thing is that trust that we built. The first meeting, I didn't know what to expect. And I was pleasantly surprised as the course went on, although it was a little difficult to navigate in the beginning. And other people, I think, feel the same way, that Chenley was pretty cool. She she's very flexible, and I love that in teachers, especially because obviously we're taking an online course, which means that we have busy lives, most of us. So just that factor alone is just awesome to have a flexible teacher that's willing to understand, and feel like I got a lot out of the course. So thank you, Dr. Chanley. I'm not kissing your ass.
Yes, you are.
I learned a lot from the course about myself and about others. And I will take this to my work and try not to be as aggressive and empathize more and try to learn more about my coworkers so we can all be top performers instead of just me being a pecking chicken trying to take over my team. Yeah. Haven?
I enjoyed the course. I don't think that I could handle another one of these courses right now, but I did overall enjoy it, even with all like the negatives that popped up. I thought it was good. Just, a little more time consuming than I figured it would be, but it's all worth it in the end. So who else? Anyone?
It was just me.
Joe?
I think that each of us has grown in a unique way. Some of us have opened up more. Some of us have not necessarily shut down more, but calmed down a little bit more. I hate classes like this, but I also love them because ultimately I do learn a lot. The time commitment was a lot more than I anticipated. And it's a lot more than I've ever had from any other course at ASU, which is surprising. So, especially for a topic like this, but I don't know that there is a better way to teach this class because one meeting a week wouldn't be enough, and two is exhausting. But I think putting in that effort, I wanted to give up a couple of weeks ago just because I was so frustrated, but I guess I kind of learned persistence this go around with a course, but that's all I have to say.
All right, good job, everyone. Do you think seriously about staying in touch with each other as you move through your other courses?
So I'm deleting WhatsApp after this because I only had it for this, but I'm on LinkedIn and you guys have my email, so please feel free to reach out.
I was going to say we should keep the WhatsApp open, but that's fine.
Oh.
Thanks, Joey. No, I think it'll be good because, like I said, I just started. This is only my third class. Like I just started this in the summer. I'm only doing one class session. It's just too much. I have this like laundry all over my floor. I haven't folded in months, so like I just it would be good to get references and resources for other professors and other classes that you guys have worked with and are going through. I'm not sure how far along you guys are in your process.
1 more year.
I will be finished next spring.
Yeah, same.
Me too.
You guys doing 2 classes a session?
Yes.
Cool.
Well, it's really been dependent on what's available or what I want to take, or I drug my feet for years. So, but now I'm definitely doing 2 at a time because I just want to be done at this point.
What do you guys take?
What?
What are you guys taking next term?
I don't know. I'll find out next week.
I'm doing project management.
I think I'm doing a project leadership. I did a project management course. That was a good course. Pretty straightforward.
Let me see who's teaching it.
Taking diversity in organizations.
That's a good one too.
Foundations of Product Management, 320.
Yeah, that one's
Chandler.
Oh, I have that now.
It's not a bad class.
Is it good?
Wait, Danielle, are you? Which one are you in?
Wilhelm, I don't know how to say his last name.
Okay.
Wilhelmsen?
I'm in Chandler. She has a lot of fun video quizzes.
Oh, no, I'm not taking it with her.
I had bull wrists. I don't know what that is, but the only class that I really struggled with was a math class, and that was because I got really, really sick. Math 142. Other than that, all of the major classes have been really good and informative and fairly easy. I don't like to use that word, but sometimes I'm like, why is this a college class? But
what do you guys get your degrees for? Is that
I'm trying to become a director of the video department for Prudential, and I first need to become a manager of the video department, and I can't. I don't think I can get hired as a manager without a degree. Also, I've been putting it off for 16 years, so it was time.
I got my dream job and then I decided to do it finally because it'll make the future easier. But I kind of had to chase my dream and prove the system wrong.
You have a dream of working in a cube farm, not talking to anybody?
I love it, actually. No, I don't. My next dream is to work from home. But if I could move my job to a home office, I would never leave, which will come in time. So, yeah, I had one thing to add. There is a little boy in Louisville, Kentucky that will be 10 on October 17th, which is next Thursday. He is dying of cancer, and he has asked that everyone send him birthday cards. He is the nephew of one of my aunts from a different side of the family. So I'll send you the link to the article. If you guys would take the time and possibly drop a quick card or note in the mail, it would mean a lot to me and his family.
Sure.
I'm telling everyone, so.
Aww.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't imagine. So I will send that out this evening.
Cool.
All right.
All right, final message from Dr. Chanley. Thank you for your hard work during this course. I know it was a lot of content and requirements and that my expectations were high, but I hope you feel that you learned a lot and that the time was well spent. This is my favorite course, and I love seeing the growth and learning from students. It makes teaching rewarding and makes me feel like what I do is worthwhile. And that comes from you all. So again, thanks for the best wishes as you go with your studies and your lives. I am sure you'll make wonderful leaders at work, home, and in society more broadly. And that is a good thing because we need you. We really do, Dr. Chanley. Don't forget to do the course evaluation. It is important for many reasons. I did that. Did you guys do it?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's easy.
8+. 10 out of 10.
We should get extra credit for it.
All right, that's it.
All right.
All right,
Nice
guys.
knowing you.
See you
All right.
guys on the other
Bye.
side.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
So Haven, you're posting this?
Yes.
All right.